Hello everyone, I'm Sanskar Datta. So we're going to learn about loops in Django. So what are loops basically? So loops are, you do one particular thing which is, for example, like from 1 to 10 if you want to count. So it'll keep on printing 1 to 10 until it reaches 10, then it'll stop executing. So this is what loop is all about. So intro and loops. So we have discussed, right? So in Django, a template language is used to dynamically generate HTML web pages. One of the features of Django's template language is the ability to use language to loops to iterate over lists or other iterable objects. These loops are called for loops and are essential for rendering repeated elements in HTML, such as lists of items, rows in a table, or options in a drop-down menu. So these are the things we have discussed earlier, right? So this is the same thing we're learning in Django. This is the syntax of for loop. You can see here that it's a three-line code. The item is iterated in item list, whatever item, and then item. The second line, if you see, it will show the output. And four is the ending of the loop, like where you end the loop. So these are the type of loop variables. So first one is for loop counter, one based index of the operation, like uh, for example, like apple, mango, orange. So apple is the first object in the list, so it will be prefixed as 1, then the next one will be 2, then 3, and and it goes on. Then for loop counter 0. So 0 based index, same thing again, but it starts from 0 here, so it will be 0 1 2 3 4. Then for loop rev counter 1x based. So these are some of those for loop variables which are in-depth concepts, so we're not learning about those. Then it's for loop first. So for loop first would be like apple, mango, oranges, we have said, right? So apple will be prefixed as first, but the other objects won't be prefixed anything because we are using for loop first. So it says first, right? So it will be only prefixed for first object in the list. That's for loop last. So the same thing, but it's opposite of first. So the last object in the list will be prefixed as first, but the other objects won't be prefixed anything. Then it's parent loop, for loop nest for nested loops. This is the loop above the current one. Then for loop counter we are discussing now. So you can see the example here. So we're using apple. We are using the items apple, banana, cherry. So you can see the HTML code. There's for loop counter you're using. Then in the output you can see, right. So apple is prefixed as 1, then 2, then 3. Then it's for loop counter 0. So the code, the Python code, you can see, right, same program again. Apple, banana, cherry we are using. Then for loop counter in the HTML code, you can see we are using for loop counter 0. So in the output you can see the difference, right? You can starts from 0, not 1. Earlier it was starting from 1. For loop first. So again same apple, banana, cherry, same thing, same code. So in HTML code you can see that we are using for loop first over there. So you can see that, right? So again same thing, but the first object only is prefixed as first, but the other two objects are prefixed nothing because the variable name specifies, right? So it's first, only first, so it will show only first object as first. So the next is for loop last. So the same thing, where it's opposite, the last object of the list will be prefixed as last. So you can see in the Python code, same program again, and the second uh, you know uh, second HTML code is for loop last. We're using the for loop last variable in here. So let's go to the code now. Let's go to the code and execute it. So we can see the code over here. We are using this, and in the HTML code, if you can see, we are using for loop counter, then for loop first, and for loop last we are using. So it will show the first item and the last item at the same time, the code. Then in views.py, if we go, we are using, these are the vegetables we are using. These are the items we are using: tomato, potato, and onion we are using. For example, anything, or else anything you can use if you want to. So we've already executed it. So let's go to the code, go to the website. So here you can see we have already logged in, or we have already logged in earlier. So you can see over here. So these are the groups. If you want, you can give your names and then add and save another. These are the permissions and all. And Then it's users. So you can add users of your type if you want to add your friends, if you want to add your family members or anyone just to have fun, So username is this, then you can give your password add. So you can, if you want to save and add, or else if you want to save and continue editing, if you want to do it like afterwards. This is all about. So we have learned how the code runs, like only the outside part we have learned how the code runs, how are the variables, what are the variables for. So let's see how the code actually runs, how the code is made. So first we have to go to the views, we have to define the views. So we have added the items for tomato, potato. This is a Python code, tomato, potato, onion. So in views under templates, under my app, under templates it is. So then we have to go and create a template. So in create template we have to do use the HTML code for loop first, and we are using for loop first and for loop last over here. So you can see it, right? First item and last item. Then we have to go and add URLs in urls.py. We have to create a file URLs, and then we have to add URLs there. So that's where we go, like that's where we add our, that's where we go, that's the website we go, right? So this is where we use URLs. Then under my project also you should add URLs. So here you can see, and we have to execute this. So anyway, we got the output, right? So if you want to see, I can show you again. It's over here. So this is the one. So here you can see the same thing, like groups and users. So that is it all about. Thank you.